Hi, I'm Lindsay, host of the Live Like Eden podcast. What do you do when your whole life flips upside down? Are you questioning everything, lost in chaos, or yearning for life's deeper meaning? I've been there, deep in the thick of it, unraveling my own awakening mess for over 20 years. Now I'm here to help you through yours. I share no-nonsense weekly wake-ups, cutting through the ego's illusions to wake you up to your own spiritual wisdom. No mountaintop bliss needed here, just practical tools, insights, and real-life experience to save you time. Plus, a much-needed laugh when we're all losing it. Let's dive into this fresh new episode. I just sat down with a woman by the name of Ragan Thomson, who has been working with people for over 20 years as a spiritual teacher and facilitator, an intuitive transformational coach, and a world service activist. Ragan is also featured in the brand new book called Awakened Hearts, which is a compilation of personal stories about awakening. And she has a chapter in there that she's going to discuss with us today. Throughout this conversation, Ragan brings up the concept of unbecoming. Instead of becoming an identity and trading an old identity for a new identity, we discuss the concept of unbecoming anything at all. I hope you enjoy our chat. If you're interested in anything that Ragan has to offer, please check out her website at raganthomson.com, where she has a lot of free resources, meditations, as well as spiritual awakening classes and one-on-one sessions. I hope you enjoy our chat, and I'll see you all next week. All right. Hello, Ragan. Welcome to the Live Like Eden show. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you are a spiritual teacher and transformational healer for 20 years. So that's a long time, and I'm really looking forward to our discussion. And I know that you're just featured in the new Awakened Hearts book that was published by Awaken magazine. And it's a series of compilations of personal stories about awakening, and you're featured. So that's really exciting for you. And I always love to start the show because the podcast really does talk about transformation and waking up from all of this. I'd love to give you the floor to just share your own personal journey with the audience and how you got to be a spiritual teacher and a healer as you are today. So
Thank you.
Go ahead. Yep.
Thank you. So nice to be here with everybody. Yeah, what an amazing journey it's been. Um, Briefly stated, I feel like I came into this planet very awake, more joyous, and more I even remember it. I was just excited to be here. My mother even told me when I was born, I smiled as a newborn right when I came out, and she said that was so strange. I don't understand. Newborns don't usually smile like that. So I feel like I really signed up for another life and was ready to come back, and it was going to be a good one. And then I did choose accordingly two parents to help me really clear out my whatever there was, anything within me that was still needing a resolution. And so I believe we choose our parents, and I chose two very driven, very motivated, very successful parents that were working stuff out within themselves for sure. And they also were kind of living in that realm of feeling like their success was where they felt most productive, more appreciated, more, good about themselves, really. And I was really coming in with a lot of beingness, really just like my beingness was enough. And I remember feeling like joy and laughter was important. And that was hard for some of those folks, unless they were like, maybe, playing on the weekend. During the week, it was all about go, 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 kind of push yourself, be excellent at what you're doing. And I just was kind of like, wow, so there seems to be a lot of seriousness around here. There seems to be some anger, some sadness. There's, obviously there's maybe some addiction type energy around here. I did feel that my job was to help them wake up, and they're like, not interested. We didn't actually sign up for that. So instead of having like a receptivity to what I brought there, I feel like I was met with a lot of resistance, and I was met with a lot of, you're too much, you're too sensitive, you're too emotional. You need to just do what we say and do what we do, and you'll be great. So I went, okay, well, I would like to receive some love and I'd like to receive some attention and I'd like to
Yes.
feel part. So I did. I started to kind of absorb my environment. I started to kind of be like what they were up to. I learned to be successful, whatever I was doing. I would, try to perform in a perfect way.
Oh,
I
wow.
became excellent at whatever I was doing. Sports, tennis was a big sport for me. So I began to play tennis at age 3
Oh,
and went
wow.
to, really succeeding in that for a while. And performing to the point where it eventually it was too much. Like I was really into like seeing that as I was, having these successful experiences, they were like, "Oh, good job. We really appreciate that. That's great. Keep going." Oh, good. I'm getting attention. I'm getting appreciated. So I'd be like, "Great. I'll just keep going and I'll keep being, just keep doing better. I'll
Yeah.
become, perfect at this." And eventually with the type of personality I had, slash, the sensitivity that I had, the high level sensitivity, I mean, it was just too much for
Yeah.
my system. I became overloaded with perfectionism and depression and anxiety, a lot of anxiety, to the point where I ended up with an eating disorder at a young age. And just obsessed with winning. Like if I won, then I felt loved. If I didn't win, I felt like I wasn't. So I feared losing. I got to the point where tennis was no longer fun for me. I was seeking outside of myself how to feel loved, really. And as we all know, that's a temporary band-aid. So
It is.
I got confused. Obviously, the ego became part of my life in a bigger way. I kind of went to sleep, like in my teens. I just feel like I just turned the lights off. And that led to a pretty painful time period. But that time period was really important, as I know now, because it was a time period of kind of accruing challenge and pain and even trauma at moments, and even like really sick with this eating disorder, like to the
Yeah.
point of, exiting the planet, very anorexic and
Oh, wow.
bulimic. It was what I chose in some way as far as my soul path, as far as I understand, because when it was the deepest, darkest hour, I always felt like there was a point of light that could keep me going. And
Mm.
and that point of light was love. Like there was
Oh,
something about those moments where I went, no, I'm gonna stay here. It's worth staying here. There's
yeah.
love here. I have family. I have hope. I mean, I had some glimmer of hope even in the midst of really, really dark days. And then it was probably my mid-20s that I finally went, okay, enough of this, painful road of this large pocket of many years of just, a lot of challenge and within myself, really. Still doing my work, still going to school, still, performing in certain ways, but inside myself, still, greatly
Yeah.
struggling with an identity crisis, really. I stopped playing tennis, at 18. I shocked the whole world. They were like, "What are you doing?" I moved from my home. I basically knew that I needed to completely start a whole new like identity structure or just break down the identity, hopefully, someone completely new and like leave everything behind. So
Yeah.
I did do that. I left my home. I left the tennis career. I moved to a whole new state. I began to travel quite a bit, and eventually I landed in a spiritual community in Agape Spiritual Center that's in
Mm.
Los Angeles, the larger community there. And as like when I landed there, I was just like, I have come home. I mean, it's like, oh my God, these are my people,
That
a
must have
higher
been a
level.
nice feeling, huh?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I was just like, thank you, God. Like, really, thank you, Spirit. I had found folks who were also on the journey of awakening, really. And so I knew I was on some sort of journey. I wouldn't even call it awakening yet, but that's what was going to happen at that space. I did find my first, spiritual program and teachers and healing, modalities I could check out, prayer,
Yeah.
meditation, but then also my first spiritual teacher. And she and I just dove in deep really
Yeah.
quickly. And that was a precious opportunity and a blessing. From there, I began to remember again my healing gifts, my beingness, my divine expression. I started to learn about myself again as being this also a teacher, not
Yeah.
just a teacher, but that I also was. She even said it like after a few sessions, like, "Oh, wait, so you're a teacher." of teachers. I was like, what do
What are you talking
I'm like, what do you,
about?
I'm just
Yeah.
literally in so much pain right now. I have no idea what you're saying. She's like, no, no, this work is like what you called forth. This is the work that
Yeah.
you came to this planet to do. Like this is
Yeah.
you're going to teach me maybe. And like she's
Yeah.
like, this is the path of the teacher of teachers, the healer of healers that you're on. And I went, wow, that's interesting. Which is true. My first few clients, my first few sessions with folks were all healers, really helping the healer to heal as well and start to awaken to, more clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, just a little bit, right? That first
Yeah.
awakening journey part, but then it was it's deepened since then.
I was
Yeah,
going to say probably over time.
it's
Yeah.
been over time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you just specialize in working directly with people. You do one-on-one and workshops. Tell us what you do now.
So, initially, right then, I needed to do an immense amount of work to start kind of going, oh, what is she saying? Maybe she's on to something. And there was a moment where it literally felt very time and divinely guided to start healing work. I did enter into a certification at the time to become a transformational life coach with more healing capacity. And then I went, okay, it moved from there. I had a lot of clients and I was doing a lot of workshops and classes and retreats at the time. And yeah, and then it's veered off into as I've awoken more into more healing capability. I still do individual work, but I work a lot in the global service sector. So
Okay.
working more with, again, global leaders, helping people like more leadership oriented healing for the world, the redesign of the human process, really, to help bring more consciousness to kind of all sectors of humanity really interests me. So I end up in I was in an organization a few years ago for, well, I'm just now completing that chapter, but it was many years of working in an organization to do just that work, more
Yeah.
on the environmental front, but
Uh-huh.
it was definitely also kind of bringing in the idea of the knowingness we need conscious governance for AI, places that I would not even ever have seen myself working in. But I heard Spirit call me and say, you need to learn about all the different pieces, the human process, right? And learning about the eco crisis and the creatures and what the whole kind of dimension of the system of what we're inside of right now. From that work and all of that understanding and healing, it feels like what has happened for me as my energy system has kind of transcended all the gunk of fearing the world and
Yeah.
reacting to all that, right? Like a big journey of learning not to react to it rather than how can I be assistance to it. And so now it seems like the work has transformed into helping people remember to remember their soul.
Yeah.
So it feels like the most catalytic way that I can be here right now is to bring people into a soul journey with themselves, to help them learn more about the truth of who they are in a deep, soulful way.
Right.
So I help people kind of lead them back to that of their center.
When everyone's looking outside for it, you're
Yeah.
reminding them it's in you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so much of my journey, as you can see, what I shared was
Yeah.
about trying to find it out here
Yeah.
and also getting very reactive to the outer world, feeling very like sad about it, angry about it, fearing it. I was obviously the soul that could not watch a single scary movie, but I
Yeah.
did. And I'm like, oh my God, why did I do that? I couldn't watch the news. I was like, but I could, I look at it and it's just like, I can't watch this. It was just too much for my energy system. And now I can absolutely watch something, be a part, learn, be informed, and not react to it. Really just
Right.
kind of let it kind of move through me. But at the
Yeah.
time, it was a very important part of my journey to get to, which was to become equanimous and
Yeah.
balanced in the face of the world condition.
Well, and that's such a huge thing to help people with because so many people just react to everything they see. It's just the ego reaction to everything. And
Yeah.
if you're sensitive or empathic in any way, it can be immediately like you just feel it and it's horrible,
Yeah.
ruins you. And there should be more people out there talking about this because you're right, you don't have to take it on. There is a way, like you said, to let it flow through you, I think is a really good way to say it because it's almost like the energy's there, right? From
Mhm.
whatever you're feeling on the television. And yeah, to not grab it, just, it doesn't have to take over your life.
And it's really a challenge for a lot of folks
Oh,
because
sure.
you're very sensitive. They don't know how to like work with that energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the message I've been getting as a servant here to help, is that we need to bring more of this deeper conscious education into pretty much everywhere. I
I know.
mean,
I know.
freely distributed,
Yeah.
like starting in preschool, like that
Yeah.
we start talking about the management of our energy systems and chakra centers and feelings and with it, a holistic, and there is those schools, they do exist. And I have children and they go to the Waldorf community,
Oh,
and
yeah.
there's definitely a good amount of that there. Even then, I think there's a lot of great schools I'm hearing about. We did a lot of work with our last organization around redesign of education worldwide, around seeing kind of what's out there, what's out there. And so we met amazing folks doing great work in different countries and different
Yeah.
programs and schools, not as much here in America. A lot more around the world, right?
Right.
But so it's good news that it exists and that we're starting to understand that we need to start that education at a young age.
Absolutely. I have kids too, and I see them. I mean, they went to public school, and I've always been unlearning everything they've learned at school, So it's been kind of interesting because they see the system and the way it is, but then I've kind of helped them unlearn what they're seeing or really dissect what they're seeing, not just to react. Like you mentioned, when you're sensitive to information and social media and all this stuff, a lot of that stuff isn't even real, right? I mean, it's all just put out there to influence the population. So it's nice to learn and let kids, especially at a young age, know that not all what you see is accurate. Most of what we see is not accurate. So it's too bad they definitely don't teach that in the public school, but it's nice to see they have other alternatives. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, social media is a challenge.
it is, isn't it?
It's a challenge. It's one of those things I say this sometimes about, like, even, how sunscreen 20 years later, they're like, oopsie, should we have worn sunscreen? I feel like that really damaged our skin and helped, it
I
created
know.
cancer. And it's like, so shall it be, I think, unfortunately, with social
Oh,
media.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like it's like we don't have the research or the understanding quite yet to know the severity of its effects on our children. And it's coming out here and there, and people are like, oh, I don't want to see that. And the kids are like, no, I love Snapchat. So, it's like, okay, we get that, but we've got a little bit of a situation on our hands.
A big one. Yeah. It's big.
I'm definitely downplaying it. Yeah, yeah. It's definitely it's one of my greater like, oh, that's a challenge. We definitely did work with that the last years, again with education and understanding and research. So it definitely was a piece of the journey, and there was some conscious parenting, teamwork we were doing and talking about this topic. There's definitely a lot of parents out there that are feeling the same way that we do.
Oh,
And so
yeah.
I think more and more soon there's going to be more what we think is just more conscious governance of all of it, right?
Right.
AI, social media. It seems like it's on the way. I think
It
that's what's
is.
happening for our planet right now.
I agree with you. And it's just a matter of who's it in the hands of, like who's controlling it. Is it trying to control populations, or are we literally trying to liberate and create a sovereign place where there's individuals? And technology is amazing in so many ways. Like just the fact that we can sit here and have these conversations, it's great.
Yeah.
So I don't want to diss technology, but I think it really is about, are we keeping people in little boxes and not allowing all information to be out there? And that's such a huge topic, but
Yeah, it is. We could talk about that for a few
oh,
hours.
I know.
Yeah.
I
All
do
good.
want to ask you something that I think might help people who are listening. And you brought up something interesting about being raised in, a very successful family, or maybe high expectations, I should say.
Mhm.
Can you speak to what that was like to kind of break out of it? Like, did your family, were they accepting of you? Are you with them today? Like, what's that like? Because I know a lot of
Yeah.
people struggle with their own family
Oh,
unit.
yeah. Thank you for asking that question. Yeah, the initial, it's a little bit of a multi-part situation there. When I moved out of my home at 18 years old, because I went, I did go to school, I went to college and then went on to that realm. And I did leave feeling that I was abandoning them as well. Like I felt in some way that as I first left, there was this like almost like a severance of like my reconnection to my family. I felt that I had to like not just leave quickly, but like with my butt on fire.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really sick, right? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, I was kind of feeling like I was pretty much dying at that
Wow.
point. So I felt like I was in such an identity crisis too, especially with like the tennis thing for all those years and
Hmm.
then suddenly going, I'm not going to play anymore.
Yeah.
It was just, and that was really a big thing for between my father and I at the time. You know, he was doing, he had helped me very much with like the journey of the tennis, right? And also I was also a basketball player and he was very present in the sports realm and that's where we related. So when I said I'm not going to do that anymore, he was like, I don't even know how to connect
Mm,
with my
interesting.
daughter, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it shocked him. It was disappointing. It was confusing. I don't think it really, when I look back at it, I've obviously done so much inner work here with this, but at first I didn't understand, of course, because I thought to myself, do you not see how sick I am? Like,
Yeah.
something has to change here.
Hmm.
So that of which caused me to go, wait a minute, what kind of love do we have here? Is this
Right.
conditional?
Hmm.
This is unconditional. Because if it's unconditional, you would see that this is not working for me.
Yeah. Well, right. Yeah.
Right? Like, and we need to help you. So I took that very personally at first. I was like, wow, I guess I was raised in a conditional loving environment. You know,
Yeah.
I live with you being disappointed with me, but yet I'm dying.
Yeah. Like, can't you
So
see that?
can't
Yeah.
you see that?
Mhm.
So that was a hard moment. It was like, wow, this is intense. And I actually remember feeling like I wanted to find out and not play or do the things that I was supposedly doing to get that love and see like what would happen. You know,
Yeah.
stop it all and go, wait, like what kind of love is this? So that became, you know, one of the lessons that I learned that my soul came here to learn. You know, it
Yeah.
was about unconditional love.
Yeah.
I wanted to, and it's amazing to say, like someone say, well, that sounds awful. And what were they thinking? You know, it's like, no, like I have so much gratitude for exactly how that went because the ultimate lesson really has been about what is unconditional love and what is this love. And so, yeah, it's been an amazing journey to learn about that type of love and to give that love to myself, to give it to others. When I didn't feel like I had it, I had to learn about it. I had to start to go on a journey with it. So the initial leaving the family was a moment of feeling very disconnected from myself for sure. And then knowing it was important, still, you know, obviously struggling because I didn't have their support. You know, I was
Yeah.
feeling very lonely, very isolated. I knew this is what I needed to do, but I can't tell you it was an easy choice by any means. It was
Yeah.
just like incredibly hard, right?
Yeah.
And then I went on to school and started to eat again a little bit. You know, I hadn't eaten in a while. And I started to gain weight. I started to feel good about that. I started to meet great friends. I started to do pretty well in school. I wasn't, you know, needing to get straight A's. I was just like, oh, I started exploring new classes. I started to dance a lot. I did. I started to find my way back to some part of myself, which really was more of my artistic self. You know, singing, acting, I'd already done some of that, but I really dove in deep into that as well. And so the arts really kind of helped to, I don't know, keep me alive,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
feeling some kind of joy, some kind of happiness. And then really, I was sad to say, but I didn't talk to my parents that often in college. I definitely did struggle with, you know, sometimes partying and drinking and trying to find my way through some sort of substance. And I think later I did some healing work with my mother and specifically more mother, and she would say, I didn't always talk to you on the phone because I wasn't sure if I was going to find out if you were alive or not. Like she
Oh,
was
wow.
even just calling me. It was definitely a intense moment of like healing between us. We have done quite a bit of work together since then, and she's asked for forgiveness. I've asked for forgiveness. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry I was struggling, and there's been a lot of healing that's happened between us. My father and I mean, I've just forgiven and forgiven and forgiven. I've gone through layers of just you know, I get that you didn't see that I was dying and you were disappointed. You were struggling. This is who you are. That made, you know, you
Yeah.
were living to me this way. I accept you. I accept what happened. And it took a long time to get there. I can tell you,
Hmm.
I had a lot of pain about the father wound because we were very close before I made that choice. And it was like, I don't know who you are anymore. And, you know, it's just so disappointing. And I'm like, my goodness, like what happened to our friendship? What happened to our relationship? So that did go on for a bit. And then I would say my 30s, I had, you know, I got married and also had my own children and, you know, began to have my own business and life and home. And I just grew up a bit more and started to say, hey, Dad, like, I'm not a child, I'm a
Yeah.
grown woman. And I just hope we can move forward,
Yeah.
and I love you. And so we did. We started to really enjoy our conversations. There's definitely things that we don't agree on. I learned that, relationships aren't always about agreement.
No, they're not.
No. I accept you for your viewpoints and perspectives,
Right.
sometimes quite different than mine. I've learned to be in those relationships because of my own internal work. I know that it's really not as much about them changing me, that I changed, and now I can be in a room with anyone really and be like, I don't really feel the past
Yeah.
anymore. And that's with, 20 years of work.
Sure. Yeah.
It's something I want to, share out loud too, because it's important that I say. I feel like part of the journey for myself has been about that more kind of arduous path of trying many different things and healers and approaches and techniques and modalities, so that now I've come to a knowingness of how to help people in a rapid way.
Sure.
I've
Yeah.
learned the arduous path as a way to go, hey,
I know.
I've been down those roads that will get you here. And this is where this is where the story starts to loop. This is where the work can get a little sludgy. It doesn't need to be like that. We
Yeah.
can do this as we return directly to our soul. We can talk directly to spirit. Like there is a direct access between you
Yes.
and spirit. There is no intercessor needed.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
So many things have come from that, arduous kind of years in some way. But here I am now, and it feels like it's quite accelerated in a good way, and a lot of peace has come.
Well, that's really great because I mean, what you're saying, it seems, is that, you went through all this stuff, you went through all these avenues and now you kind of know, well, this could be easier for someone else. I can see where time could be saved, right? Also in somebody else's role. And that only comes from somebody who's lived it. So that's awesome. I mean, I'm sorry for you to go through pain, but I know what it's like. So it
Yeah.
does serve a purpose. I mean,
Does. I think there are those maybe who even signed up for a little extra pain to kind of work through
yeah,
it and go, hey, folks, I want to let you know if I can work through all this, and I'm just sharing little bits of what I went through, by the way, and I'm here and I'm shining forth and smiling and I still have joy and I feel a lot more peace in my life. Yeah, then if I can find that within myself with what I went through, then so shall you. And
yeah,
I do think that there's something pretty miraculous about the direct access that we have to our soul that has not been spoken of a lot. And it's folks are like, oh, I'm this body and I'm this flesh and this life is all I have. And they get kind of convoluted by that. And it gets
yes.
we get very attached to things. We get very kind of drawn in by the outer world. We get more into materialism and
Yeah.
form, and that is totally understandable. And it's really like a stepping stone. It's pretty much everyone's going to go through that. The sooner that someone can come along and say, nothing out there will ever bring you this, what you'll find within you, and
Yes.
just pull it right out and do the work.
Yeah.
Versus like, yeah, why don't you learn through that experience? Why don't you learn through that, and go get yourself inside of that and then get really angry. And it's like, you can do that. And I did all of that. But I think that there's a more graceful path.
No, I think you're exactly right. I think that we make it really complicated, you know. And
Mhm.
I really do think it's a simple answer. I mean, spirit is within, it's right there. And it's about something you mentioned in your chapter was making that choice. So maybe we could talk about that, that there is that decision maker within us that no matter what's happening on the outside, you do have a choice in how you see the situation, whether you're going to side with this, drama, reactionary state, like we talked about, or is there a more graceful way and unconditionally loving way, as you're pointing to there with your lesson with your own family, to
Mhm.
do that all the time
Mhm. Mhm.
with anybody?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I know that everyone has their unique set of circumstances and parents they've chosen and environment they are within. There's a lot of factors that get to that point of that choice. I understand that where someone says, "Oh, it's an easy choice. You just choose love. You just choose consciousness. You choose goodness." And they're like, I was right at that choice point, and I was based on my past and what I haven't resolved. It did not seem like that was the choice. The
Right.
choice felt like it was, I wanted to be angry. I wanted to judge. I wanted to, create it again. I wanted to perpetuate that experience that I had created before and have it, go for another round. Like, all these are possibilities. That's true. There is something about a consistent mantra of knowing that we do have choice and that you can know that every moment is one.
Yeah.
And I think that that understanding has not been shared as much with folks as it could. And so often I don't think people even know they have a choice.
No.
They think they have to. And so a lot of the work I've helped folks with is to help them to start to kind of notice their have tos, notice their supposed tos, their need tos, I must, these kind of like pushing on oneself, the I statements too, the I need to, I have to, I should, I must do this. Like any of that stuff, it's not really coming from your soul,
Mm-mm.
coming from guidance, usually from directly spirit and your soul and connection. That's typically more ego process, ego selves, child selves that haven't fully resolved that are pushing on you. And then suddenly you're doing something that, you're like, it caused waves, it caused stress. I feel worse. I thought I'd feel better. I feel pressurized. I feel tired. Yeah, because an I have to is what made your choice.
Yeah.
So if we can kind of dial down, it's amazing. It's an exercise that I often give to folks who are ready to be more conscious and like look at this. Literally look at like write down all your have tos.
Right. Put it on
Like you
paper.
might, yeah, put it on paper, like journal, like I have to do this, I need to be that, I should. It's amazing. I mean, I've done it a few times in the past, and there was a lot there. All of those need to be thrown into the fire of purification. All of those need to be surrendered, like every one of them. And it's like, oh, but I don't want to let go of that one. Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about that one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there'll be certain ones people are like, no, I need this. I need to have, appreciation from people all the time. I don't know. It's like, well, let's
And
talk
what if
about
you didn't? Yeah.
what if you don't have it? I feel unworthy. I feel like not valuable. I feel people don't love me. Great, let's do the work on that. And usually
Yeah.
that can be, as you know, some great inner child work, some really soulful, beautiful, loving, compassionate inner child work. That could be
Yeah.
really cool. Someone could be ready to do some catalytic, really good meditative work where we just go into the subconscious and we rewire through
Yeah.
EFT or planetary grid work. There's really cool ways to just instantaneously go, oh, I do have this going on inside me, but am I ready to let it go?
Well, that's exactly right.
Am I ready to let it go?
And sometimes we're not, and it's okay. I think that people like you mentioned the whole perfectionism, trying to achieve
Yeah.
perfectionism, and it's such a myth, right? Like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
Perfectionism. And when we have these conditioned thoughts in the mind, it's like we're trying to reach something, and then but we never really get there,
Exactly.
And then the mind just keeps going, and it's an unnecessary rabbit hole, I guess, but it's also a good teacher.
Yeah, no, that's really great what you said. So true. The mind, wow, what a tool that we're meant to be utilizing appropriately that often tries to rule us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is where, as far as we understand, the ego infiltrates, right? It
Hmm.
goes through the mind. So, yeah, the more we can purify our mind, the more we can let go of all that mental chatter and kind of really work from and lead from our heart and our soul and utilize the mind appropriately. It's a whole new journey ahead. And it's true, there's a lot of folks out there that, aren't always ready to let go of that stuff because kind of trick them into thinking they need it or want it or have to have it in order to feel safe or to feel in control or to feel good.
Hmm.
Um, but those are all illusions, and they are like little bubbles through consciousness and expansion of consciousness, through love, through purification. They pop and they're just like, they burst into light, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's amazing how some of those, yeah, someone might have had for a really long time. And they're like, I don't know who I'd be without this identity structure.
Right.
So a lot of those like have to's, need to, should, supposed to's, you name it, they are some of the not the genuine needs, but more the needy needs. A lot of that stuff makes up our identity till it doesn't. And
Yeah.
so I think you had mentioned something about your interest in something I'd said, something about the unbecoming work.
Yes.
Because that feels like that's leading into this
Yeah,
moment.
I was going to ask you about it. So let's
Yeah.
go there. It's a
Yeah.
great discussion. Before you start there, you said something, and I'm sure as an athlete, because my husband worked with professional athletes for years, and the
Mhm.
identity of an athlete is very interesting, right?
Definitely.
And the athlete retires or the athlete decides, like you, to not do that anymore. It's almost as if the mind is then trying to replace the identity with a new identity. And what you're
Oh
going to
yeah.
talk about is unbecoming and sort of going into this unknown and being kind of okay with that. So maybe you can go from there.
Yeah, thank you for asking the question. Yeah, so that is exactly what happened. I had an identity structure that was quite potent around being an athlete. And then as soon as it was let go of, it was like, oh my, I mean, literally for sure, I was in an identity crisis. I was like, who am I? Oh my gosh, what am I like? I like literally the choice to not play was crazy
Oh
talk.
my
It's like,
God.
what are you thinking? Like, you're gonna fill that with what? I was like, I was just so much fear, honestly, is what came up. I felt so afraid. I was like, oh, I'm lost. I felt so lost. So I did see myself trying to fill it with things, but initially not so much. I went on the healing journey more and the arts and the whole thing. That was really cool. I let myself just heal and
Yeah.
just art and dance and sing and all the things I said. I got really into acting and comedy acting, all kinds of fun stuff. But that how somehow I landed in like more spiritual based theater. Someone's like, wait, in Los Angeles?
Naturally. Yeah.
I'm like, my two teachers are two spiritual teachers. So it was very beautiful healing acting. So that was not the typical acting experience. But yeah, and then there was this still there was like a vacuum. Like my identity needed to be dissolved, not to be replaced.
Right.
So I saw this whole journey of me learning about that for a while. Then I even like as I was doing healing work and spirituality became like, how much can I learn? How can I do this? What am I going to do with it? I was like, whoa, all the doing,
Yeah,
right? And I
right.
could see that. And I went, oh, this is more of what it's the same thing. You can do this in anything. You can do all this doing and becoming
Yeah.
in anything you choose. And it's still an identity structure attempting to be like the mask that we wear. And that's okay. It's like the personality.
Yeah.
So the last while, yeah, it's been about helping people to dissolve their identity, to be
Mhm.
okay with not becoming something or someone, not needing to know everything,
Yeah.
not needing to have the perfect knowledge and the perfect, really just kind of being in this place of great curiosity and unknowing and like, wow, and I don't know everything and I'm here to learn.
Yes.
I don't need to be someone to be loved. I'm just
Yeah.
am loved. I am the divine I am, right? Like the
Right.
divine I am presence, like
Yes.
the I am everything that I've been seeking. I don't need to go get it. I don't need to find it. I don't need to try to appear as it. I literally am it. So in that unbecomingness, it's liberation.
That's what
And
I
it
was thinking.
feels
Yeah.
so relaxing.
Talk about relaxing. Yeah, because it's not relaxing when you're trying to become something and
Oh,
achieve and I'm not saying, do whatever you do in life, but
yeah,
can you do whatever you do in life and still maintain this deep flow and understanding that doesn't matter if I get there. Maybe I'm going to get there in a different way than I don't even see. Maybe some
exactly.
door is going to open and I don't even know it. And
Mhm.
and not knowing is such a beautiful thing, but when you're so used to knowing and wanting that control, it's a really hard thing to let go of. I'm sure you see that with your clients.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're like, I need to know. I want to. Where am I at on the path?
Yep.
How did I not hear sooner? Like the path is like to be owned and harnessed. It's like, no, it's actually quite simple and amazing
Yeah.
that when we let go of our need to control the path, and to kind of know what's next and what have I done in the past? Was that good? Is this good? And
I know.
and also leaving the world of duality, right? The world of
Yes.
like bad and good and
Hmm.
wrong and right. And that's so normal. People are, am I good? Am I bad? Am I doing well? Am I failing? Am I succeeding? It's like somehow we've got this constant critique of ourselves going on. And like my question is, where is it coming from?
Where is it coming from? Great question because
Right? Like, where is it
yeah.
really coming from?
Well, it's funny because that you bring that up. I have a son who is pushing 21 and he has this, constant theme in his mind that am I a good person? And I honestly to this day I'm always talking to him about it. I'm like, I don't know where this started for you because I'm not somebody who thinks that way at all. My husband
Yeah.
and I don't talk in those terms really like you're good or bad.
Yeah.
And it's like he came in that way. I mean, he
Yeah.
literally came in and that conflicted mind is so within all of us, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's just such an interesting thing to see. And he
Yeah.
knows it, but he doesn't, yeah, he's trying to understand it a little bit.
I get that. I have a son who would probably not say he's a super sweet boy. He's 11 right now,
Yeah.
and I have 4 children, and he really is going through something like that. You can see him like he's so wise and kind of grounded, but then also struggles with, which I would say is just a part of the path, which is, yeah, duality. He's like,
Yeah.
is I kind of wants to play in the bad realm, and then he wants to be like, oh, that wasn't good, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, not good. I'm like, I'm not seeing it that way for you, but
I
I
know.
get that you are, and that's it. Like, I'm like, Tristan, his name is Tristan. I'm like, Tristan, you're such a sweet, amazing, kind boy. Like, he really is. He's like, oh, I don't know. And it's like, because maybe he has snuck some things. He has
Yeah.
taken things out of
Sure.
drawers. He's not supposed to be on his media, but he's hiding in the closet.
Yeah.
He's done a whole lot of that kind of stuff. I'm like, honey, no, we're not doing the media right now. It's so interesting how much it just takes for us just to say, no, that's not the choice. And you've now lied.
Yeah.
And I love you.
Right.
But they take it personally. And it's like, oh, well, you don't love me and I'm bad now. And it's like, no,
Oh,
no one ever said that.
I know.
You know, I've never said that
Amazing.
about you. Have I ever said that you're bad? So it's an innate kind of human conditional, like our past coming into now. And I think that, I tell this to people all the time. It's so understandable considering, we come from, I mean, the dark ages just ended recently.
I was going to say, it still feels like they're kind of there, doesn't it?
It's just recently, I think it was the end of March or something. It
I
was
know.
the middle to dark ages, literally, the Kali Yuga just ended. So it was like we just stepped into light as far
Yeah.
as a new era
Right.
recently. So thousands of years on our planet, historically so, we've been in great judgment of
Oh,
ourselves.
yes.
We've been listening, the light and the dark and the bad and the good, like times that were dark where we didn't have the type of resources we have now and the type, knowing how to help ourselves heal if we wanted to. It was like, oh, do it underground and you might be persecuted and
Oh, totally. Yeah.
so different, right? So that of which we're like, oh, well, that's not now. My understanding, all of that is here now. We are just an amalgamation of everything that's ever occurred on this planet. It is within us, it's around us. So, yeah, we're clearing all that out. And I
Yeah.
think that when a personality comes in like that, it's super understandable that they might be like still working out their bad and their good.
Oh, 100%. And it's the way of, like you said, the human condition. I mean, you come into the world and it's really about right away figuring out your place. Like kids, they're trying to fit in. And as adults, we're trying to find our way, we're trying to survive.
Mhm.
And then at some point, it seems if you have enough, you know, I guess I should say, like just conflict or shit hit the fan or things that aren't going to work, it's just not working, is
Mhm.
really when you start to ask bigger questions like, what is going on here? What am I not seeing? Why am I putting all my effort into this? And it seems to
Yeah.
happen as you're a little older, but
I think it happens when you're a little older too.
yeah.
I think usually like around your first Saturn return,
Yeah, that's when
a
mine
lot,
started. Yeah.
yeah, a lot occurs. Me too, actually. A lot happened right there for my system as well. Yeah, I mean, it's like 20s usually for folks, later
Yeah.
20s. And
Yeah.
it's understandable that before that, there's this time period of kind of like almost accruing some of that just to kind of like go, wait, does this work for me? Like, am I
Right.
happy? It's like, not really. I'm actually not feeling super happy. And I don't, and learning about like going outside of oneself to try to get it and go, oh, that doesn't make me happy. That doesn't. Oh, I thought, oh, this judgment's not going to serve me. It's like all this kind of trying it on and then going, I don't feel good.
Right. It doesn't feel good.
I feel tired. I sometimes go to bed sleepy and like not
Yeah.
very fulfilled. And I feel stressed and I wake up
Mhm.
anxious. Like, not everyone feels these things. I'm just mentioning these are possibilities, but I
Yeah.
think the earlier years can be a time period of kind of going, let me try this on for size.
Yeah. See what works, see what
If it
doesn't.
works, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I imagine you've worked with a lot of people over the years. Do you have some common things that people come to you with? Like, what are the biggest hurdles or biggest sort of
Yeah.
roadblocks and they're probably common themes, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. A lot around not good enough. People just like we were just talking about, if we have this world of duality that's been going on our planet for as long as it has, It's like, you know what I mean? There's no way to meet that mark.
Yeah. No.
It's like, well, good today, bad in 5 hours. It's
Yeah.
like, you're constantly like up and down on like
A roller coaster.
yeah, the
Mhm.
recent chapter I did in this book, Awakened, it was
Yeah.
all about that. I said I'm ready to get off the roller coaster because it's what it feels like. It's like a roller
It
coaster.
does.
So
Yeah.
I think that a lot of folks come in with that. They come in with this gosh, I feel good and then I'm stuck or I'm struggling and then I feel like maybe I'm not good and there's something wrong with me. Consistent judgment of someone feeling like a lot of judgment of themselves as not being good enough and typically people are pretty weighed down by that judgment. I,
Sure.
I I deal with that quite a bit and the weight of them in that judgment of themselves often cause them to feel very disconnected from spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So the reconnection, where they feel like they've disconnected to themselves, to spirit in their soul's light, is a big theme that they're like, oh my God, I had no idea I needed to even do this work.
Yeah.
I was so caught up in duality and that I was maybe just never going to feel loved, or maybe I
Yeah.
was never going to have love, like living in some of the nevers. Like there's also like a lot of like sometimes complacency of
Mm-hmm.
just going, you know what, like maybe it's just not for me. So usually people come in like saying, I feel that, but I don't really want that,
Yeah.
and they're really looking at like going, is it really possible to shift that?
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to have, a loving life with loving relationships? A lot of folks are working on relationship with self, but relationship with other.
Yeah. Oh,
And
that's huge.
that is a big area. They're like, I really struggle with feeling that I can connect as I am,
Right.
right? Like just be myself with
With somebody else.
relationships, with
Yeah.
anyone.
Yeah. Oh, so many people.
Yeah, with anyone. Just show up as I am and
What do
let
you
the
think
course.
that is? I mean, a lot of people are afraid to be themselves, like totally, just with whomever they're with. And so they play roles.
Yeah, I think it's what we were talking about earlier, which is the identity structure that someone has created for themselves. I think even though it might be there when you go home at night and you're alone, you know that's not who you really are.
Yeah.
That is in the privacy of your own self.
Mhm.
And what happens is, unfortunately, and it is what it is, a lot of people begin to judge what they feel about themselves when they see that. And
Uh-huh.
I did the same thing. So that's why I know you start to look at this structure you've built of yourself, like I'm a good person and I do well, and people like me because I'm funny, and then I need to go get this money, and then I'm pretty, and who
Right.
knows, right? The structure is made up of what it is. And they're like, now they'll like me, and then I'll be appreciated. And it's like, oh God, that's exhausting. And you go home and you're like, wait a minute, like I don't want to, like I'm not even being myself. And so initially from my system, I began to judge that. What's your problem? Like, what are you doing
Mm.
that for? Like it's so inauthentic. I felt so inauthentic. I felt
Yeah.
so fake. I felt so like I judged myself for it.
Uh,
And so my encouragement is absolutely not to judge anything about it because it's so common and so normal that people do create that because they want to be loved. They want to
yeah.
feel a part. They want to feel, I mean, who doesn't want to be in a relationship with someone and be like, hey, I can just be myself?
Yes.
It's just the ego gets involved and is like, hey, maybe you should try to be what they want.
I know. And that happens so much.
No, maybe you should change yourself and then they'll like you. And you're like, what? What do I need to do? And
It's
so
like people are afraid of their weirdness too, you know? If I share this weird part of myself, are they going to still love me, you know?
yeah, my weirdness, my uniqueness, my
Yeah.
strangeness, my whoever I am. But I can tell you that what's really awesome about when you finally start to, slough that stuff off and shine forth who you really are,
Yeah.
you'll meet people who love that. You know what I mean? There's over 8 billion souls, I think now. I'm not sure what our number is, but there's plenty of them out there that'll be like, wow, I like
I
really
connect with you.
appreciate this
Yeah.
because you're being real and I like that. And that's how I actually think that way and I feel this way. And we are very magnetic. We are
Yeah.
very attractive. We create from within to without.
Yeah.
So when we're holding a frequency of like, this is who I am, there's others who are like, let me come into that frequency. I am too.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's a really amazing trick the ego plays on someone to get them to think that if you just be like what they want and you change yourself and modify yourself, then you'll find those people. It's like actually cuts you off
Oh,
from
completely.
finding the very people that bring you joy or bring you laughter is they're not really in the same frequency as really who you really are. So you're like kind of fighting with this frequency. You're like, I don't know why my relationships aren't working. I don't know. I've got the same guy with a different face, and I'm like, I'm meeting up with this energy. It's like, well, that's because how did you show up when you met them? Did you show up as you truly are? Did you show up more like in your real self? Or did you show up kind of going, okay, I'm going to give him or her what they want so they'll
Yeah.
stay with me.
Right.
I fear losing them. So I'm going to be what they want. I'm going to change myself.
Yeah.
It's this powerful trap, really, that people get
Oh,
into. It's such a trap.
yeah.
I was a part of the trap for many years.
Yeah.
I'm anything I speak of here. I've been
Yeah.
down the road, right?
Yeah.
I've tried it on for size. I tried the whole, and then I changed myself. I've gone through all those painful doorways to learn that they don't work,
Yeah.
and to go, oh, so you mean just being as I am, no matter what that is, creates peace and joy in my life.
Yeah. And it's going to bring you the people who love you for that.
Yeah. And they're like, we do.
And the question to ask yourself is like, why would I want to pretend to be somebody I'm not? You're not going to be happy in that because
Yeah.
you're never going to meet that person's, who knows what they even want, right? Is that even being communicated or is this all going on in what you think they want? You know?
It's what I think our mind is getting involved, right? Like
Involved.
again, back to
Yeah.
the whole ego
Yeah.
infiltration through the mind. It's like they want you to be pretty.
I,
Quiet.
and
You're like, what? Quiet? What? You mean like don't speak?
I
Don't speak a
know.
lot. Just like sit there and just feel good and pretty. You're like, oh, that sounds like really okay.
I know.
Horrible, but I'll do it. I
Horrible.
mean,
Yeah.
and then suddenly, like, usually I've learned, I mean, I used to do a lot of relationship work with like helping people find their partner for a while. And yeah, 2 years later, everyone would say, no more hiding of
Yeah.
anything. It all comes out. Oopsie, I didn't realize who I was even with.
Exactly. I
How did
know.
you not show me these things? Because the ego basically can't hide past 2 years, they say.
No, you can't.
It's like it hides. It's like, oh, I'm everything. And then suddenly it's like, this is who I really am. And you're like,
Right.
oh my God.
Well,
How
it's
did you
why marriages, if you go in and, oh, we have no problems in the marriage and everything's fabulous. And like 2, 3 years later, everything's blowing up because
know?
neither one of you or neither one of us were showing the true self forward.
Yeah, our
Yeah.
vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
Our weaknesses, whatever they are. Like I feel like I'm not good enough sometimes.
Yeah.
I have these fears and they are these ones. I actually am a little afraid that you might leave me. And
Right.
as I felt that way when I was a kid. I mean, who knows? Like I've been married for I've been with my husband now for I think we've been married for 12 years. Like, sorry, honey, if I don't remember the exact. We've
You
been together
probably
for
don't know.
17. I go with more of the number of how
Yeah.
long. But we've been on a healing journey since we met. I mean, we immediately hopped into our first spiritual teacher like hours later. I mean, we were already like, but that was not because it was going to be a cakewalk. I mean,
No.
we worked through a ton together.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's amazing we're still married. Like we had so much, I would call this kind of these different buckets of karma to work through together. We'd had other
Sure.
lives together. We now we have children and we have a marriage and we have a home and
Yeah.
you put all that on top and you're like, oh my God. And then we've got this wounding from our families and
Oh,
he had to
yeah.
go himself and working through all our child parts together and all of these layers and like going into it for another retreat and going to another class and going with another healing session, another couple session. I mean, consistently the
Yeah.
entire time. So I completely know that. And by the way, we're in an amazing space. God, we did that, right?
Yeah.
Just even in the last couple of years. I mean,
Yeah.
it was so much work,
Yeah.
but it was like so incredibly worth it, is what I want to say. And like, yeah, not everyone would say, well, I don't want to do all that. That sounds awful. And I'm not going to do all those classes. That's what I signed up for, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm here to teach about relationship. I'm here to help people learn about conscious relationship, that we are mirrors for each other. They're literally just reflecting back one to, and so my husband and I immediately realized that. Because you can stop taking the finger off someone when you get triggered and go, wait, how am I accountable to this reaction I'm
Right.
experiencing? Then you can
Oh,
do
yeah.
your own work. And that's really what relationships for.
And more,
That's what it's really for.
yeah, and more people like want to just toss it, and get the divorce or whatever. And I get it. Some people do need to
Yeah.
do that, but it is a learning. It's a teaching for yourself. And if you're
Yeah.
both on board with that, that's great. But what about for people who don't have a spouse who, they're not on board with it, but they don't want to they still love each other very much. It's like, I always think you can still do that work. They can
Yeah,
still teach you,
you
even
can do
if they're not
it.
doing it together.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do that work internally anytime. It's nice to I always say that if you have a spouse or you have a
Mhm.
partner, it can be a little more accelerated in some way. I mean,
Yeah.
you've got like a live person.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to go that way.
Yeah.
We are reflected back to all the time with our parents, our friends, or sisters or brothers too. I
Right.
mean, most people have some sort of relationship that they're in that all of them are mirrors, every one of them.
Yeah.
And everybody is like, basically, I just look at life as like a almost like a video game. It's like
Yes.
you wake up in the morning, if you're able to remain peaceful and calm in the face of someone, great. If they triggered you in some way and you're feeling discomfort or activated, go, where's that for me within myself? Like, what is this? Why did that comment really activate me? Why am I feeling so angry right now?
I,
Like,
I know.
most likely anything that you're feeling was within you before you had that experience.
Yeah.
So we want to just, go, hey, where does this come from? Like, and you don't have to do a deep dive, but it's like, am I ready to let this go? Can I bring this into my meditation practice? Can I bring this into my inner child work? Can I bring this into my prayer work? Can I bring this into whatever modality you feel that you don't bypass it? You go, you know what? And also, one of the greatest things you can do is just in that triggered state, just go, hey, I need some help here, spirit. I'm
Yes.
I'm seeing that I'm not remaining calm and balanced and harmonious. I'm literally not at all, and I need your help. Please show
Yeah.
me. Really like, please, instead of like the mind saying, well, it's this and da, 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 it's like, well, that can be helpful to some degree. Who knows what it'll say? It might loop you into a story or a past timeline. Most likely, spirit, just the divine creation, as you ask, will say, this is what it is. And
Yes.
what's really amazing is that we all have that ability. We
Yeah.
all have that ability to ask and receive.
Yeah.
And spirit will show up, and we
Yeah.
can start kind of building on that muscle, and like by trying it on.
Yeah.
And then like listening and go, wow, I did hear like a message, and I'm like, can I trust that? And right, so trusting our divine guidance and trusting in our intuition and starting to go, okay. And then at that point, you'll be guided to possibly of how to work with it. You might go, well, I've never had a spiritual teacher, but now I feel like I want to get one.
Yeah.
I'm starting to like know myself a little bit better through this ask. So it feels like, well, I don't know, it'll just be weird if I ask that, do people talk to themselves that way? I'm like, yes, we do. I talk
I
to
do.
myself all day long.
I do
And I'm
too.
really just talking to my divine guidance. I'm having a conversation with spirit. I'm once was maybe a little weird is now just the way I live all the time. And someone will say, oh, you spoke with who right now all day long? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
with myself. And
Myself. Right.
and there is that expression, right? To love thyself is to know thyself.
Yes.
To
Yeah.
really have that deep relationship.
Well, and when you're talking about unbecoming and opening into the unknown, no one typically, when you're so rooted in the mind and the thinking apparatus, you're not thinking about asking, how can I see this through the eyes of spirit, right? I mean,
Mhm.
can you guide me to see the spiritual side of myself would see
Yeah.
instead of this crazy person over here, you know?
Yes.
And that's really what you're speaking to, is just
Yeah.
trying to stop the drama, and just ask, how can I see this differently? What is it
Mhm.
showing me? And that's really awesome.
It's amazing some of the tools that we have within ourselves that are like, again, so simple.
Yes.
Just about practicing them
Yeah.
and trusting in them and thinking like, like the mind might say, none of this is going to work and that's not going to happen for me. But I mean, if you do hear messages like that, that is again, not your soul speaking to you.
No, it's just the ego.
Spirit is like, yes,
Yeah.
look through my eyes. Let's see this in a new way. Like, you don't have to exist in pain and suffering and stress and anxiety. I mean, of course, at times we have moments of discomfort and pain. We
Yes.
can't control the outer world. We can't stop the dog from passing or a beautiful friend from passing or who knows, right? Something that
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God, I'm feeling pain right now.
There are bad things that happen in the world.
Things happen
Yeah,
and
all the
we're
time.
gonna have
Yeah.
those moments. But
Yeah.
living in a constant state of suffering and stress
Oh,
and
I know.
anxiety, no, that's not it. So spirit wants us to like, I think, reclaim our sovereignty, reclaim our divinity, like start to, yes, like I say it all the time. My prayer is like, just let me be an instrument of thy peace. Like, just let me be a conduit of thy love. Like I'm
Yeah.
not here to be me. I did plenty of me, here for you. Like I'm here and that is actually so beautiful and empowering. It's
It is.
not weakness. That is not like, oh no, what's going to happen in my life? It's like, yeah, oh yeah, your life is going to be joyous and peaceful, and you might even laugh a lot more, and you might even start a new hobby.
Yeah, you might
You might
actually
be
be
like,
happy.
you might actually be happy. You might, yeah, you might actually enjoy your relationships. Like, so it's actually like in our, and I call that being in surrendered to spirit,
Mhm.
surrendering to spirit, right? Literally saying, hey, I'm here to serve and use me.
Yeah,
I'm ready. And yeah, that was a big one for me. I needed to say that one for a long time, kind of like as my internal mantra, especially when I was in a lot of pain. I needed
sure.
to really keep saying to spirit, like, I know I don't seem ready, but I am. Please use me. I'm ready. Like
Yeah,
I can see all this out here that I'm doing. It's not helping me.
yeah,
I'm just doing
yeah,
and I'm not being.
yeah. No,
And so Spirit was like, I'm gonna keep listening. She's really, I felt like I was just like being kind of almost like a spiritual test a bit at moments, just, what is she gonna choose? And I'm like, I choose the light. I choose
yeah,
spirit. I choose to serve. I choose love. And like that constancy of prayer, it is received.
yes,
And then over time, I was given a little bit more of, this divine right to serve in certain ways. And then it was like, oh, she's a reliable, loving servant. We're going to give her a little bit more. Let's open up the doorway for this. She's ready. Oh, let's see. Oh, okay. Here's some more. Like it really wasn't ever like this rush of like, here, give it to. It's like, I know spirit just never gives us more than we can handle.
no,
So we're just given just this
yeah,
amount, like, okay, she learned well. Here we are. It's like this very loving, compassionate parent in some way, right? That's
yeah,
like, I love you no matter what. You're my
yeah,
child, and I'm going to
yeah.
be here for you. But you need to ask me for help.
I know that's the other thing. You got to acknowledge my
Yeah.
presence.
You need to acknowledge I'm here
Yeah,
and you need to ask me and be like, hey, hi, I know you're here and I'm learning about you. You do need help and I'm not here alone and I don't want to be. And I realize I'm actually not even just not alone. I am literally connected to everything
yeah. Oh,
and to everyone.
that's a great way to say it. We're not alone. We think we're
Yeah.
alone, but we're not. And we all really do share very similar emotional
Yeah.
responses and thoughts. And
Yes.
when you think you're alone, I'm the only person going through that's just simply not the case. And
That's a big one.
yeah,
That's a big one.
yeah,
That
it
is
is a big one.
so powerful what you stated. It's so
Yeah,
important. That's a really big piece that I share with people a lot because they'll come in thinking that they're the only one that feels this darkness, this
yeah,
story is too much, and their fears are strange and their insecurity is unusual, and they're the only ones feeling it. Oh, no, no.
no,
The way I describe that is that we all have, our energy centers, we have a chakra system. We also have like very similar body, our body is made up in, blood, bones, organs.
yeah,
We have all these similarities, right? We have these energy centers. Some people don't know much about them. That's totally fine. But the point is, each one of them function in a very specific way and they hold energy in a specific way. And when they're clear and they're connected and your system is, really vibrating in a
right,
high level, great. Sometimes they're not. And
yeah,
sometimes we're dealing with fear or worry or doubt or insecurity or whatever it is, right? Whatever's in our system. It can create blockages in our energy centers, and we all have them. Really, it's not about, am I the only one? It's about, or is this issue, I'm the only one with this issue. It's really like about how much you're dealing with that issue
yeah,
versus your neighbor, because I guarantee either they were dealing with it too or they've cleared it by now. It's
yeah,
literally like that. It's not like they've, if unless you're an ascended being
yeah,
and you completely become enlightened, right? Everyone's on a spectrum of where they're working within the spectrum of the healing process in the
yeah.
chakras. Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. Really great way to put it.
Yeah. It's no
Well,
one's alone in that.
no. Well, I love everything we touched on here today. I think it's a great place to maybe just start to wrap up. And
Yep.
why don't you just tell everybody where they can find you, what you're offering now? And the book is called Awakened Hearts, and I do think it's available on Amazon, right?
It
I don't
is.
know is there if you sell it or is it just on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they might be sharing it a couple of the places, but the best place I know right now is Amazon offhand. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm contributing offer for Awakened Hearts. I am now going to be doing their next book as well, so I just got signed up for that. That is the calling that was on the on the agenda for a while from Spirit. It was like, when are you going to start writing these books that I told
Yeah.
you? I was like, oh, how many books are we talking about? So it was there's quite a bit of books coming out in the future some
That's
point.
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, and then but yeah, I'm avidly working in the world to bring forth a couple things. I do a lot of content production. I do a lot of meditations with people worldwide. I am on Insight Timer. I'm an Insight Timer teacher and course developer. And so that's a great place to find me. And, I do Insight Lives
Yeah.
there, and those are wonderful. So I'm doing kind of connecting with the temperature of the world and like really bringing forth more of a how to really assist you for the next month ahead.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
that within the content of my newsletter as well. I share ancient wisdom teachings. I do a more of like a celestial influential meditation every month for everyone to receive on my newsletter. So you can join that anytime you'd like. My website's a plethora of information. I've got, I used to have my own podcast show. I have a lot of a library of meditations and prayers. So I feel what's coming, which I've been talking to my team about, which is to start a soul school. So
Oh,
hoping
cool.
to online, yeah. It'll be literally that, a place for those who remember that they are a soul and are ready to do the work to expand. So we'll be talking about everything. We'll be doing transmissions and meditations, activations, as well as education,
Yeah.
the path, and then also getting into even the transitional process, the death and dying process, like really having an amazing review when you transition, not in a perfectionistic way, just
Yeah.
one that you're like, yeah, I did
Yeah.
expand and grow while I was there. This is
Yeah.
exciting. So really exploration of soul lessons, helping people like really connect with their lessons and why they came here and who they are and starting to chip away at those. And then yeah, and then I'm doing some work with singing and creating a conscious album right now. Maybe even create a conscious label for artists around the world to come together. So that's been
Oh, that's
happening.
exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. And we need so many more schools like that. The education of what we've
Yep.
been missing since we've been young. If only we could teach our kids that right away, that would
Yeah.
be what a different world we'd be living in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's coming and it's just in
That's great.
development. But yeah, right now it'd just be to hop on my website and Insight Lives, and then just my profile there is full of wonderful content.
Okay, perfect. And
Yeah.
that's at reganthomson.com, and I'll link it in the show notes for you.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
I'm so
Awesome.
glad we got to have this nice chat.
Me too. Thanks so much for coming on, Reagan. I really appreciate it. It's lovely to meet
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
That's it for today's show. Thanks so much for listening. If it resonated, please share, follow, and drop a review with your takeaways. It really means a lot. Visit my website at liveLikeEden.com to subscribe for weekly reminders and blogs, or sign up for a free 30-minute consult to explore one-on-one guidance sessions if you're really struggling in Awakening's darkness. Take my Awakening quiz to get a personal podcast playlist that meets you exactly where you're at. See you next week for another deep dive.